Hello there, and welcome to another new Premiere tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make and animate some really realistic text message pop-ups, as it's a really common effect that students love to use. Here I've got my Premiere project set up, and I've also found these two text message bubble shapes from Google. I've saved these and imported them into my project. I'm going to drag and drop one of the bubbles onto my timeline and go over to the Effects Controls panel, and I'm going to use the Scale option. First, click on the little stopwatch icon here. This is the toggle animation button. Over on the right hand side of the effects controls panel, you have this little timeline here. Make sure your cursor is all the way to the beginning to start off with. To mark the first point of our animation, you need to click on the little diamond. This is the Keyframe tool and basically marks out each point of animation on our video. Drag your cursor along only a few frames. I've moved mine around 8 frames. Then click the Keyframe tool once again. This will mark the end of the animation. Zoom in on the effects panel timeline by clicking on plus on your keyboard, and now you want to drag your cursor back a few frames. Add in another keyframe. So here we have all our points of animation mapped out. Drag your cursor back to the beginning and make sure your very first keyframe is highlighted by clicking on it. Then go over to Scale. You can click and drag on the numbers to change it, and you need to set the first number to 0. As you can see, the bubble has disappeared. Drag your cursor to the middle keyframe and click on that one. It's very important that you drag your cursor along. If you don't, your object will not be animated. Change the scale numbers to something along the lines of 120. And lastly, click on the last keyframe and change the numbers to the original size of the bubble, which was 100. And watch your text message bubble pop up. An additional thing you can do is drop the opacity of the bubble to around 70%, so that way, once you've got your video footage playing too, you can see your video behind the bubble. It's not essential, so you can choose to do this if you want to or not. We obviously need to add text to our text message. I've already made a full tutorial about applying text to your videos, both at home and in college, so if you're stuck about how to apply the text, go ahead and watch that too. I'm going to draw my text box over my bubble. Write whatever you want. I've just made my text smaller so it fits in the bubble, and I've also changed my font to Helvetica Neue. You might need to experiment a little until you're happy. There's a cool little extra thing you can add to this effect to make the text look as if it's actually being typed, and it's very easy. Simply apply the wipe transition to your text layer. So now you need to reply to that text. I have this green text bubble which I'll drag into my timeline. I'm going to go to the text bubble we've already animated and copy paste the animation we've already made just by clicking on the motion effect, pressing Ctrl C on my keyboard to copy, clicking on the text bubble, going over to the effects panel and press Ctrl V on the keyboard to paste that animation onto our new bubble. I'm going to drag this bubble on top of the one we've just made. From there, you can see where you need to move it to in your frame. You'll see my text bubble is facing the wrong way for it to be a reply, and if yours is too, type in flip into the effects panel and drag horizontal flip onto the clip. And now it looks a bit more like a reply bubble. Next, create your text with whatever you want in the box. Also, apply that wipe transition. So to make sure all your text don't pop up onto the screen at the same time in your timeline, move the clips around so that the reply comes on after the first text. Lastly, repeat all these steps if you would like more text to appear in your video by simply copy and pasting each bubble. Change the text and move them in the timeline. And once you've got the amount of text you're happy with, go ahead and apply your footage underneath.